Calaroga Shark Media.
I just called an audible. It's 9:30, and the Emmys are actually making me, angry. It's just a terrible, terrible telecast, poorly produced for reasons we'll get into. I had high hopes for this episode, and the episode's good. I've got stuff because I already recorded the second half earlier in the day. But I was like, all right, Nate will be pretty good. We'll see what happens with the late night guys. And the show is just dragging and not interesting. And one of the big problems is Nate Bargatze is not up to the task of being the host. The thing is misproduced from the start. So they began with a variant on the George Washington sketch where Nate played the inventor of television. He was joined by Bowen Yang, Mikey Day, and James Austin Johnson. I'm sure it played well to middle America, but, we've done this already. Nate, you got to show us something else. You can't just keep doing this bit over and over. So that dragged. And then the next thing that's misproduced is the very first presenter is Stephen Colbert. And I wrote on the Facebook group, I'm like, Colbert is just going to, is Nate going to be able to escape his shadow? The answer is no. Stephen Colbert comes out, gets a standing ovation. Chants of Stephen. He makes a joke. While I have everyone's attention, is anyone hiring? So now we're several minutes into the show. Nate hasn't done a monologue yet, but Stephen Colbert has stood at center stage, I think in a tuxedo, if my memory hasn't failed me, and kind of looks the part of a host where Nate doesn't. Then Nate comes out and explains to America the thing I told you about, where he was putting $100,000 in the pot and going to dock everybody $1,000 for every minute they went over. Boy, that does not work. When somebody is up there thanking their family and they finally had their big moment and they've worked their whole career and they're finally winning this award, and the clock comes on and starts counting down, it actually makes me angry. Hannah Einbinder's up there giving a speech, and this clock comes on, and it's just ticking down. Tony Gilroy thanking his crew and his family, and the clock comes on. It was really obnoxious because it puts the winners in a bad position. Why would you do that as a producer? And it kind of puts some stink on Nate for being a bad guy. So I'm just really, really annoyed at the Emmys, and I can't be bothered to stay up till 11 o'clock to find out the rest of the winners because we'll just do that on Tuesday. Vulture wrote, this acceptance speech timer is ghoulish. It's that thing where a guy puts $20 on the table and makes the server work for it. Servers hate that guy. Joe Reed, I forget if this was Vulture or The Times, Joe wrote, I want all the winners to go extra long and have the audience chant the money total as it approaches zero. John Oliver gets up there. He raced through his speech to put some money back on the clock, which is kind of funny, but shouldn't John Oliver get to give a proper speech? I mean, what are we doing? There's another segment where Nate came out and started talking about the comedy award winners, and he finds out from the staff announcer. I found out from the staff announcer. Apparently, they gave this out during the week. I had no idea. I would have mentioned it. And again, maybe I'm terrible at what I do. I do read every entertainment website, and I Google words like comedy and comedian. I didn't know, but apparently Conan O'Brien won the Emmy for Outstanding Variety Special, pre-recorded, for the Mark Twain Prize, which is the right answer, but I don't know. Where did that go? So the staff announcer was telling Nate live on the air that Nate didn't win, as if Nate didn't know, and that felt flat too. So you can just hear the frustration in my voice. This thing just annoyed me tonight. Some other stuff I scribbled down. They tapped J.B. Smoove to try and explain the money bit. He ate it. Leanne Morgan did her thing, but I was wondering, as a presenter, does America even know who that is? I don't know. So the winners in the first 90 minutes anyway. Lead actress in a comedy, Jean Smart for Hacks. I like that pick. Best supporting actress in a comedy, Hannah Einbinder. During her speech, she said Free Palestine and F Ice. Best supporting actor in a comedy went to Jeff Hiller for Somebody Somewhere. Seth Rogen has won a couple already because, as I said in my preview, the industry loves celebrating itself, so no surprise there. And that's the Emmys. I'm just kind of disappointed, and I'm sorry I'm in a bad mood, but the show put me in a bad mood. So let's switch to stuff that makes me laugh. Jim Gaffigan went to the Kroger on Shelbyville Road. He was signing bottles of Father Time bourbon for hundreds of fans that lined up outside. As William Shatner once said, get a life. Gaffigan said, while comedy is a gift and a passion, so is his love of Kentucky bourbon. It's a beautiful thing, the whole bourbon journey. But also, I think it's important for marriages, too. You want your husband to be interested in bourbon, then they're not going to have an affair. So he's reusing that joke, right? Because I told you yesterday that he had told the joke that Jeannie likes he's doing bourbon because she's happy he's not having an affair. Oh, Jim. A very busy Monday aside from the Emmy Awards. Adam Sandler is at Madison Square Garden tonight. I can't go. I have to teach on Monday nights. Otherwise, I'd be at the Garden. I mean, Adam Sandler doing a comedy show sounds amazing, doesn't it? Couple serious topics. Jay Leno weighed in on the killing of Charlie Kirk. I won't do the Jay Leno bit here because this is a serious topic. Leno called into the Tim Conway Jr. show, and here's what Jay had to say.
It's not a random shooting. I mean, it's a death of free speech. To think that you are so illiterate and so stupid, you can't answer verbally, and you have to shoot somebody with a gun to quote, win the argument.
Tim Dillon, also uncharacteristically serious. He opened up his podcast. I listened to that Walking the Dog Sunday morning, and Tim was very serious. I have made a few edits here for pacing, but let's listen to Tim Dillon.
You know, that was one of the most disturbing things I had ever seen in my life. The man is a husband, a father. Even if he wasn't, he's a human being. He's sitting there. He's engaging in conversations with people, and he was brutally murdered in front of his wife and children. I'm not a sanctimonious guy. I dressed up as a dead healthcare CEO on Netflix. I'm not someone who is out there being a purveyor of good taste, but I just don't understand how, after witnessing that murder, you could be gleefully celebrating this attack. I think you're at a very bad place spiritually in your life if you're celebrating the murder. If that's the first reaction you have to that video is to celebrate this, or, I mean, you can't be doing great.
Meanwhile, Jerry Seinfeld's controversial comments from last week. Someone from the Duke Chronicle wrote, no, the someone is class of 28. So I'm not going to say the writer's name, as that person may not be as experienced in the ways of the modern media as, say, I am. So I'm not here to beat up on the person. But I thought the article warranted a mention. That person wrote, Tuesday's demonstration continued to prove the outsized pull that Seinfeld has with Duke, which allows him to get free press at the university whenever he feels like it. Seinfeld's combination of familial ties and fame, it seems, entitles him to walk into Duke as he pleases and be given a mantle for which to espouse ludicrous views as if he represents the university or its student body. His remarks prove the urgency in which we must divorce ourselves from this pattern and him. There are many reasons outside of Tuesday's comments for this, like the fact he dated a 17-year-old high school girl when he was 38 years old. Or perhaps the greatest sin of all, which is the fact that he isn't funny. His recent comments, though, are what demand attention. And then a breakdown of the issues at the core of the Seinfeld comments. Again, we are not going to solve that on the Daily Comedy News podcast. By the way, if you downloaded Sunday's episode early in the morning before 9:30 Eastern, I messed up and I had double-loaded Saturday's show. Sunday's episode was pretty good. So if you missed it or you were like, I heard this one already, there's one in there that you might have missed. Now, I was extra frustrated because almost always, if you're a long-time listener, you know I get up in the morning and I go get coffee. But for reasons, I chose not to go get coffee and then didn't listen back to the show until 9:30 when I walked the dog. And then I heard the rerun. I was like, gosh darn, because normally I would have caught that at 7 a.m. and fixed it. So you might have missed one there. Rainn Wilson was in the headlines last week. I had shared the story where Rainn had made some comments about The Office. Rainn went out of his way on Sunday morning to speak about what he actually said, and let's let Rainn take it from here as he makes himself very, very clear.
So while promoting this movie Code 3, I had a number of conversations, some podcasts, some interview shows. I did a perfectly nice interview with a gentleman who was asking about whether The Office could be made today, and we had a very long, nuanced conversation about how in some ways The Office could have some, un-PC tendencies, some racist tendencies, because the buffoon leads of the show, Michael and Andy and Dwight, were pretty clueless. And, could you do that today? There's a great source of humor there, but it's a very delicate balance. The interview is very nuanced. The headlines are not. And this is one of the reasons people hate mainstream media, because now it's not printed on newspapers. It's all about clickbait. There's headlines that say, Rainn Wilson, The Office was racist! ! Click on me. Look at the banner ads coming up alongside. Subscribe, pay, get behind our paywall. It's really gross and obscene. And the media is adding to this landscape of hatred, distrust, inflammatory statements, outrage, right and left. So I certainly didn't mean to cause outrage. I don't think The Office was racist, folks. Listen to the actual interview. Look at what I actually said. That's all. It breaks my heart. And that's showbiz.
And that is your comedy news on a pretty busy, robust Monday. I've got plenty for tomorrow. I almost wish the Emmys weren't last night because there was a lot of good stuff today. But, we got another show tomorrow, so I'll see you then.